Welcome to part 2 of my 3-part video series of traveling with firearms. If you haven't watched the first video, please go watch it. It's going to be covering if you can legally carry in said state or states that you're traveling to. We've kind of figured that out now. So now we're going to go into the airline process if you're flying, the restrictions of a couple airlines, and then getting into packing your firearms. Video 3 is going to be me at the airport, exactly what to say to the ticketing agent, walk you through that whole process. So hopefully these 3 videos make you feel comfortable with traveling with firearms. It's easier than you think, but it is a little intimidating. So let's get into this. I'm not overproducing this video. It is exactly how I do it when I'm traveling. I travel with my firearms every chance that I can get. And this is how I do it. I get in comfy clothes. My hair is up. I'm about to pack. Let's do the research and then let's pack our firearms. So let me do a screen recording for you so that you can see my screen. Great. So I travel American Airlines almost all the time. I've traveled with firearms with Southwest and American, and I find American being the best. I know a lot of people have also traveled with Delta, and they like flying with Delta. I'm from Arizona, and American is like one of our main airlines. So I'm just going to type in American Airlines firearm policy. It's going to take you directly here. Now, it's kind of vague information, not going to lie. So I understand if you're like, this is why I'm a little nervous. It all kind of fits on one page is the policy. So it gives you information on traveling with firearms and the requirements. This is what we want to focus on right here. So within the US, you can only travel with firearms and ammunition, including pellet and BB guns, in your checked bags. If you're over 18 years old, you must check them with an agent at check-in and declare that you're traveling with firearms and ammunition. Okay? Firearms must be unloaded in a locked, hard-sided container where the firearm is totally inaccessible. We'll get into that. Rifle cases require locks on each end. So what that means is the rifle cases are going to be like hard Pelican cases, and each hole needs to have a lock on it. Ammunition must be in original packaging from the manufacturer or in packaging specifically designed to carry small amounts of ammunition made of fiber, wood, or metal. Honestly, it needs to be in a manufacturer's box, not the manufacturer's box that specific ammo went to. Just a manufacturer's box. I'll show you. I always save one. It's kind of like torn up, honestly, but they just want the ammunition specifically in spots. Every airline is going to have different weight capacities on ammunition or max. So ammunition for American Airlines, it needs to be a maximum of 11 pounds. I never carry that much ammunition when I'm flying. It's also a lot of weight and it goes into the weight policy. So I just carry one box with my defensive ammunition and go from there. Allowance. Every airline is going to be different on how many firearms they allow for you to check per bag or per person. For American Airlines, there's no limit on the number of items, which is nice. I'll pop it up right here. So my husband and I went on our honeymoon a couple weeks ago, and we went on a hunting moon. So we flew to Texas, and I think we had 2 or 3 guns with us, a hunting rifle and a couple pistols, I believe, and ammunition. And so I'll show you how we laid all of that out, and they were totally fine with it. Now, this is the requirements, and this is what you read, right? And you're like, okay, this is pretty vague. What do I do? Now, before I bring you down and show you the packing list, this little tag by Pew Policies, they handed it to me at SHOT Show back in January, and it has a little QR code on the back. And you scan that, and what they did was basically provide a free resource with a LinkedIn of every airline policy and firearm policy that you need to know when traveling with firearms. I know a lot of people who have had horror stories of the ticketing agent not knowing the actual firearm policy, and they kind of like just stuck to whatever they believed. This guy is super helpful because if you scan this or have them scan it and have them read you the policy in front of you, they can't deny and they have to change their mind. So I've never had an issue, but this is helpful if you want to travel with this. You can know the policies, and it's just super easy for you to scan. They can see it, and I've also seen a lot of airlines being like, can you give us the link for this so that we know, which is super helpful. So this guy, I'll link them below, but super, super helpful. So I brought all my cases down below. Let's go through the process of packing the guns. Okay, I have a couple different case options that we need to talk about. So first things first is the airline requires a hard-sided case. So this guy that zips does not work. Do not put a padlock around it and lock it. Doesn't matter if it fits in your suitcase. This is a no. It doesn't lock and it's not hard-sided. This box, this is a box that one of my FNs came in, but this is also a box that one of my FNs came in. This one does not work because it's just cardboard and it doesn't lock. This guy can work if there are holes for a padlock. So if I close it, you can see there's a hole there and there's a hole there. Normally they need a minimum of 2 holes. So this guy would be good. VaultTek Life Pod, they come in different sizes. This is a little bit of a larger Life Pod, but this locks here. It's a pad combination. These just close because the Life Pod has multiple uses. So it closes like that. This is okay, TSA approved. Honestly, when I fly with this, a lot of the airlines are like, oh, thank goodness, we love this case. So this one's easy. There's other cases like this that are TSA approved. I believe Stopbox is approved as well. What I'm going to link below also as I'm talking through this is a link from USCCA. They have even more information on airline policies and then multiple videos, if you can see, of traveling with your firearm, what they recommend. And then with this and my 3-part video series, you should be absolutely ready to go when flying with a gun. So we're first going to start with the VaultTek Life Pod. I carry my gun for the most part in my concealed carry belt bag. I partnered on this bag with marsupial gear and Eclipse holsters. You can see there's a separate pocket. This pattern is chickens, because why not? Or roosters, I don't know. But I love this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unvelcro my holster. Now I can use this in the airport, totally approved. I've never been flagged with it through TSA. Unholster my firearm. I'm going to unload it and pack her up. I need to put ammunition in a hard-sided manufacturer's box. So this box right here is totally fine. It's just a random small compact box that I had laying around. But the biggest thing that they want are these silly plastic things. So I'm going to put my ammunition. Magazine is empty. And I'm going to place my ammo in here. Doesn't need to fill it up. I travel so much that in Phoenix and Tucson, American Airlines, the ticketing counter, knows me. And I'll bring them spare ammunition boxes because so many times they say that they have to deny people or take their ammunition because they didn't properly package it or secure it. And so I bring them extra boxes that they can keep in the back, and that way they can offer it to passengers instead of taking their ammunition. And I think that's pretty cool. So I'm going to close it up. Now, what I like to do, because my holster has Velcro on the back, I'll actually holster my gun. I've never had an issue with this because the gun is empty, but I'll actually put it back in the holster, either magazine in or magazine separate. If you're nervous, lock the slide open. Just lock the slide open, lay it like that, and keep your holster separate. If you're nervous or if it's your first time. I'm going to put my ammunition in there. Make sure that your case or your box is large enough for your ammunition because it has to be in there. I'm going to hit lock. And that's it. That guy is secure and ready for packing. Can go in my suitcase. I would not just have this floating around in the airport. Put this in your suitcase if you're going to do something like this or this case. Let's do this one next. Okay, next we have a hard-sided case like this with holes for a padlock. So same exact thing. I'm going to open it up, put my gun in there, maybe this time without my holster, lock my slide open. I've never had issues. I've never had issues with putting an empty magazine in there. But read your policy of your airline. Set it there and close. Now, what kind of locks do we use with cases like this? Good question. A pro tip is going to be do not use TSA locks. The reason why is because TSA locks can be accessed with a universal TSA key. What is allowed is using a master lock with an actual key or combination on it, because then they're required to get a hold of you if they need to get into your firearm case, and you hold the key. So you have to go and physically open your case. It provides more security, more control over your firearms, and less likelihood of someone being able to get access to your guns. But if you can see, there's all these different sizes of locks. Rule of thumb and learning experience for me is use the absolute smallest, tightest lock that you can. So for instance, if I use one of these big honkers and I loop it through and I lock it, when I open, can they access it? When I loop it through, there's all this space, which means that they can open up and kind of reach in. If they can open your case up even like this, they're going to deny the case. So absolutely try to get the smallest padlocks possible, which I have these guys. So I'm going to loop it through. What I like about this FN case is the way they have it designed is it actually provides a little bit more security than other cases because of where the locks are at. So I can't even open this because the locks are here. A lot of other manufacturers' cases are not like that. So this provides even more security. They're not going to be able to open this case. So this one is going to be approved just like this. Last one is going to be a bigger case like this. It's going to be very similar to my small FN box, but I'll walk you through it. So this guy is going to be when I'm traveling with multiple firearms. For instance, I did a women's range day in Vegas, and I had to bring multiple firearms for the ladies to shoot. So I brought this guy, and it has multiple options, which is really nice. So I'm going to put my multiple firearms in here, magazine spot, and then I can throw my ammunition. I can throw in holsters, like whatever you need, eye and ear protection, whatever, which is really nice for this case. I'm going to do exactly what I do. I close it up, and then I'm going to put locks on it. Now, this is kind of where I was saying lock sizes matter. So if I put this guy on, unlike my FN case, I can easily open this. And this, I've had people ask questions about. They get nervous about this. When I fly out of Tucson, I know that they will deny me because they can open and kind of reach in with this case. So I'm going to use smaller locks. Let's try these guys. Loop around and close. Loop around and close. That's better. I think that's good. If you get really nervous, there's other master locks that are even tighter. Totally up to you, but I think these would be good. You can also bring a backup pair of locks if you're really nervous. There have been times, there's one time that I was denied, like I said, in Tucson. They are super picky. They even admitted it, that they're crazy picky with locks. And so I thankfully was able to buy extra locks. And that was a learning experience for me of, I guess I'm just going to bring extra locks or be super, super careful, because the locks that I flew with, I always fly through Phoenix. They never have an issue. Tucson, they had an issue with it. Every airport is going to be different. I was kind. I was understanding. I said, you know what, like, I completely understand. What would you like me to do from here? With that, they were super helpful, and they went scouring for locks for me in order for me to be able to travel with my gun and not have to bring them back home. So be nice, bring extra locks if you want, or make sure you test your case so that they are secure. The last one I want to touch on is that case that I was talking about that my husband and I flew for our honeymoon. It's a large rifle case. cases like that, or like this guy, is going to be a separate piece of baggage. So I'm not going to put it in a suitcase like I would these two. These two are going to go in my suitcase. Others are going to be just a single case, and it's only going to carry the firearms and the equipment that I need. So that one, it was a hunting rifle, a pistol, and some other accessories, and I laid it just out like this. So depending on how many firearms you're traveling with and how many you're flying with, they're all going to look a little different, and definitely cases. That bigger case required, I think, 4 or 5 locks. It was something. However many holes that your case has, you need to have a lock on it. That's just going to be the basic rule of thumb. Last little pro tip for this video is that you can absolutely put an air tag into your gun case. So I've had horror stories where I was traveling to New Orleans on Southwest. It was the last time I flew with my gun on Southwest, where I had a VaultTek life pod in my checked baggage. Now, with Southwest, we'll get into this, but Southwest doesn't handle the gun policy as, I think, professionally as American Airlines. So the bags normally, if it's in a suitcase, it comes out on the belt just like every other bag. I don't like that at all because a gun is in there. So I landed in New Orleans and my bag was not there. I talked to the airline. They were like, oh, it's no big deal. It'll get here tomorrow. And I was like, it has a gun in it. I just want you to know that it's got a gun in it. And they're like, oh, well, yeah, like it didn't make it on the plane. And I was like, it should have made it on the plane. Anyways, call me tomorrow and let me know. We'll call you by noon, they say. Okay. So 12 o'clock comes around and they hadn't called me. So I said, I'm just going to go to the airport. I show up to the airport and I have a video of it, but I show up to the airport and I was going to go to the baggage office to see where my gun was at because they were supposed to call me. As I'm walking up, I see my white suitcase in the center of baggage claim. No one's around it. It's not on the belt. It's just there. And I was livid. And I didn't know, I didn't track it because I didn't have an air tag in it at this time. I threw a little experiment out there, and I was with a video team, and I said, I'm going to just take the bag and see what happens. So I walked up to it, I took the bag, and I walked out of the airport. As I exited the airport, I had blood boiling the fact that someone could easily just grab my gun, grab my suitcase, and leave, and Southwest Airlines was not handling it at all. So I walked back into the airport, walked into the baggage office, and I was livid. That was the last time I flew Southwest Airlines with my firearms. I hated it. So ever since that day, someone said, hey, throw an air tag in there. And I was like, that's a really good idea. So throw an air tag in there. You can track where your guns are at. And it just gives you a little bit more peace of mind of where everything is. So yeah, that is packing. Packing is honestly pretty easy, but now once you get packed, follow me, subscribe, go to video 3 so that we can talk about what you do actually when you get to the airport. What do you say? Let's talk through that. So I'll see you soon.